Yeah, it's everyone. My name is Natalie Benally, and I am the First Plus Fun Performing Arts Program Manager. And today I will be sharing with you an application tutorial for our upcoming Native Performing Arts Fellowship application. So let's just get right into it. Share my screen. Okay. Once again, we are going to be offering the Native Performing Arts Fellowship for the year of 2027. This is really exciting. This will be our third year of offering this fellowship opportunity. And here is just an overview of things that I will go through in my presentation. I'll talk a little bit about the Native Performing Arts program and what it is and what it's all about. And then I will talk into detail about the 2027 Native Performing Arts Fellowship. I'll go over eligibility requirements, steps on how to apply. I'll go through the selection criteria for the application and also the selection process. And I'll go over the timeline and also important dates to keep in mind, as well as helpful tips to help you on your application journey. And then I will also share my contact information at the end in case you have any more questions about the information that I share with you today. All right, so the Native Performing Arts program is designed to support Native performing artists emerging and establish and developing and enhancing artistic skills and knowledge. This program strives to provide Native performing artists with more equitable access to the resources they need to enhance their creations and careers. This includes funding, mentoring, financial capability, and business development training aligned with their cultural values. So the Performing Arts program is made up of three components. So one of them is the Native Performing Arts Fellowship, which I will talk about in detail today. The other funding program we have is the Live Production Grant, which is currently open for applications at this time. These two programs are different. All right, so I would definitely recommend looking into each of them to make sure the one you are applying for is the one that's best fitted for you. And then we have our Performing Arts Native Artist Development Training, which is trainings that we host in person all across Turtle Island in partnership with organizations to service Native performing artists across Turtle Island. So yeah, so those are the three parts. And then this is just how we at First People's Fun define performing arts. This definition was created in collaboration with other performing artists as well as cultural bearers to basically create a definition that best fits in line with the way that First People's Fun wants to view performing arts. So, Native performing arts is a time-based performance or experience that honors, exposes, educates, challenges, and celebrates the multifaceted stories of Indigenous peoples. Native Performing Arts centers Indigenous beliefs and values and funding, developing, creating, and presenting performative works. It is a platform for collaboration, discourse, intergenerational engagement, and living resistance in which Native performing artists from all disciplines of performing arts can create innovative work for audiences worldwide. All right, so let's get down into the details of the Native Performing Arts Fellowship, also known as NPA. That's the acronym. All right, so the fellowship is a year-long self-directed fellowship that supports emerging and established Native artists who create, practice, and perform within the performing arts landscape. So this could be theater, dance, music, any sort of live performance that sort of kind of is also both traditional and contemporary. So I just want to make that very clear that this fellowship is specifically for artists who work within those performing arts mediums. If you are more someone who works more in visual art and not necessarily in performance work, then you are best suited to apply for either artist and business leadership or cultural capital. So just want to make that very clear, distinct difference here is if you are a native performing artist and you work in any performing arts medium, primarily that is your source of income, that's what you do, this is the fellowship you want to apply to, okay, because this is specifically for you all. So the fellowship provides $10,000 in funding to enhance artistic knowledge and skills within performance craft and slash or work towards sustaining a career within the performing arts landscape. These applications are open to Native performing artists at all stages of their career. So you can apply for this whether you are just starting out or if you've been doing this for a really long time. I also want to preface that age does not come into factor for any of our fellowships. You could be, someone who is in your 30s, 40s, and you're just starting out and you're just starting out your career. That is totally okay. So do not let age prohibit you from applying to a fellowship as long as you are showcasing that you are dedicated and motivated to enhance your craft and your knowledge of your performance work. That is all that matters, okay? and it's for both emerging and established. Like I said, emerging is like 1 to 2 years of experience. Established is 8 to 10+ years of experience. Okay, so it's open to all. So one thing I do want to specify is that this is not a project-based grant. So you in no way, shape, or form need to propose a project that you must complete or create during your fellowship year. In fact, it's actually more geared towards putting the funding towards artistic career goals. So instead of proposing a project, you propose 3 artistic career goals rather than putting money towards a new or existing creative project. So definitely want to alleviate that pressure of, having to create something and show something at the end of your fellowship year. This is more so for you to really focus on your own artistic and career development, okay? The fellowship also provides network building and professional development opportunities. All right, and attending First Peoples Fund's annual multi-day fellowship convening to network with other artists across various mediums. Past convening locations have included Santa Fe, Phoenix, and Minneapolis. So, all right. So here are the eligibility requirements. So applicants must be at least 18 years of age at the time of application. Applicants must be an enrolled member of or provide proof of lineal descendancy from a U.S. federally recognized or U.S. state recognized tribe, or be able to provide proof of ancestry as an Alaskan Native or Native Hawaiian. Applicants must reside and be based within the U.S. And applicants must also be practitioners of all performing arts mediums, both contemporary and traditional. So this includes music, theater, dance, spoken word. Again, any sort of live performance work that involves performing in front of people. If you do not operate within those primary mediums for performing arts, then you would not be eligible to apply for this particular fellowship. I would then recommend you to look at the ABL or CC fellowship, which is open to all. Applicants may not be enrolled in any academic degree granting program. Recipients of any 2026 First Peoples Fund fellowships, that's ABL, CC, and Native Performing Arts. If you received any of that in the year of 2026, you are not eligible to apply for the 2027 NPA Fellowship. Actually all current FPF fellows must wait a year before they're able to apply for another fellowship program. Individuals or lead applicants for an organization, business, or collective that received a 2026 live production grant are not eligible to apply for the 2027 NPA Fellowship. Lead applicants are main contacts for any organization, business, collective that received a Rooted Pathways Weaving Kinship Award in 2025 or 2026 are also not eligible to apply for the 2027 NPA Fellowship, okay? And then any previous grantees with any First Peoples Fund program must have submitted a final report for any awarded FPF grants. If you have any questions about any of these eligibility requirements or you need clarification, please, 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 please reach out to me. I am happy to help in terms of any of these eligibility requirements. If you are more specifically curious about the Artist and Business Leadership or Cultural Capital Fellowships, you would then need to reach out to Fox Spears, who is the program manager for that, but I'm also more than happy to direct you if that's who you need to speak with as opposed to me. Okay, so here's how to apply for any of our fellowship programs. So you want to go to our website, which is forstpeoplesfund.org. That's where all of our application links will be available. So I'll just go ahead and show you what that looks like. So here is our lovely First Peoples Fund website. So you're going to click up at the top where it says programs, and you're going to scroll down to Native Performing Arts Program, okay? So you're going to click there. It's going to bring you to our lovely Native Performing Arts Program page. Look at all these amazing, beautiful people doing their thing. And you're going to go ahead and scroll down. It'll tell you more about the program, but you're going to go down to where it says Program Initiatives. And you're going to see here the tab that says Fellowship. Okay, so this is the tab you want to click on for Fellowship. It should automatically be there. And it'll explain to you more about the program, any key dates, anything, but here's where you will find the Apply Today button. So this is where you can click on this button and it will take you directly to the fellowship application that you need to fill out. And then there are also additional support documents here that you can look at as well if you have any questions about any of the eligibility, what we accept for tribal enrollment, and all that stuff here. And then you can also see who currently is in our 2026 cohort of fellows for Native Performing Arts. Awesome. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close that and head back here. Make sure this is back onto full screen. There we go. All right, so that's how you access our applications, okay? So when you click on the Apply Today button, it'll take you over to the application that's on Submittable. So we use Submittable for all of our applications, okay? So you will need to have an account registered with Submittable in order to complete and submit an application. Unfortunately, we are not able to take any applications that are submitted to us over email. So you must have an account that you can register at Submittable. Usually you need just an email to have an account set up so you can submit your application on that platform. And I just want to be also very specific and clear that only one application may be submitted to the Performing Arts program. So you can either choose to apply to the Native Performing Arts Fellowship, or you can choose to apply to the Live Production Grant. So those are the two funding programs we have. Unfortunately, you cannot apply to both, okay? You must choose one. All right, so let me just go over the application requirements for the NPA Fellowship, since this is what we're talking about on this presentation. So again, it's a year-long self-directed fellowship, meaning that you are the one who is in charge on how your fellowship goes and how you go about achieving the things that you submit in your proposal. So we expect you to detail your proposal to be within a 1-year time frame. So here's what the proposal looks like. So applicants are asked to create a proposal centered around 3 artistic career goals to accomplish during the fellowship year. You'll be asked to describe the activities, the resources, and the costs that are related to achieving those artistic goals. Developing or completing a solo creative project can be a component for your proposal. It's optional, but it should not be the primary goal or outcome of your fellowship year, okay? So I'll share some examples of like some artistic goals that you can include in your proposal, just so you have some examples to work off of. But really just consider what resources and things that you need to in order to grow as a performing artist and to grow your career as a performing artist that you will want to focus on to accomplish within the year and with the funding, okay? Also note that any proposals for performance-based projects that involve multiple performers or require high production demands are not the focus for this fellowship, okay? If you have a very large project or a very large performance that you want to find funding for, I highly recommend that you apply for the 2027 live production grant, because not only is that a larger grant, that one offers $30,000 for projects and live productions and performances, but because the fellowship is not intended to support large productions and projects, okay? It's only $10,000 versus a grant that offers $30,000. So I will leave that up to you to decide whether or not which one of those fits better for what it is that you want to apply for. Right now, at this time, film projects, both short or feature length, are not eligible for the Performing Arts Fellowship. If you do have a film project or you want to work primarily within that medium, I recommend that you apply for the Artist and Business Leadership or Cultural Capital Fellowship. Okay. All right, so here are some examples of artistic growth needs or career goals that you can include, but of course these are just examples. They're not limited to these. It might look different depending on what it is that you want to do for your own artistic and career growth. But some of these examples could be taking classes or seminars or workshops or having private lessons with a professional expert in any field of performing arts. That means like, you want to, you're a musician or a singer and you want to take private lessons with a vocal coach, things like that. Or you're an actor and you want to take lessons with an acting coach, you know what I mean? Just those are just some examples of like, what you can use the funding for. You can also propose consulting legal and financial professionals. So these are looking into getting an agent, a publicist, a tour manager, etc. You could also propose creating a website to showcase your performance work. Is that something that you have as a goal for yourself? This is a big one, getting professional headshots. Headshots are pricey, so people have proposed getting headshots taken with their fellowship funds. Building a marketing strategy for your performances. That's a really big part of performance work is marketing, getting your performances to have people show up and things like that. Or you can also propose things like strengthening relationships with culture bearers and teachers to maintain cultural knowledge and values. Okay, so again, these are just some examples that, people have proposed in the past, that, again, it's really up to you in terms of what you consider what you need for yourself as a performing artist to grow and enhance your career and your skill set. Okay. Again, please note that if you do propose a project, any performance-based project, that it must be a solo project or if it's in the development stage. For example, if you are planning to work on a new play and you need, funding and time to spend time on writing, that is, an example of something that you're working on that's in the development stage. It's, you're working to create it. It's not quite something that, is ready to be performed or presented to people. If it's something that, you're the only sole performer that's going to be doing this project that you're doing, right? Again, if it's something that involves way more people and it requires way more production involved, then you would apply for the live production grant. Yeah. Also, just want to note that activities that are part of the applicant's coursework at any institution of higher learning will not be considered. So these are things like senior or thesis exhibitions, juried student shows. This also goes towards classes that might be a part of a degree program. I know some folks, if you are attending a school of some sort, some schooling might go towards a degree and some might. So you want to be very sure on whether or not, like, is what the classes you're pursuing, are they going towards a degree? Because if it is, then that wouldn't be eligible. Alrighty. Again, if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to reach out and get clarification from me. All right. And then here's just a list of files you will need to upload to complete your application. So we do require proof of tribal affiliation. We do have a document linked that you can see examples of things that you can provide, and also things that that are not acceptable pieces of documents. You will need a reference letter from someone in your who can speak to your work and who can, let us know why you would be a strong candidate for the fellowship. And this could be someone who you know professionally or in the community. Alrighty. And then you will need to include a budget. We do have a budget template that we provide that you can use if you don't have one of your own already, but you will be uploading a budget that details how you will spend the $10,000 if you were to be awarded. And also, one thing, your budget must also match the artistic goals that you proposed in your proposal. So you want to make sure that both your what three goals that you proposed for your fellowship year is in line with what your budget shows. If they don't match, that's something that the panelists will see and will definitely score lower on for you. Okay, so make sure your budget and your goals align. You will need to provide an artist resume or CV, either or. Also want to be very clear that the resume must be about your artistic work. Resumes that are more about your, everyday work, job, whatever, is not a suitable resume for this because this is about our artistic growth. All right. So you want to include a resume that speaks to your artistic experience. So that's like showing, what work you've done in the medium that you do. Like if you're a dancer, what are the shows that you've danced in? If you choreographed any of them, you want to list what shows you choreographed, just examples of like what you want to include on your resume. And then you will be asked to provide up to 5 performance work samples. Again, these could be video, sound files, writing samples, depending on what it is that what you do in your primary practice, right? You'll be asked to describe what the work samples are. This is so that our panelists have all the information that they need to be able to know what work samples goes with what, right? And then also an artist photo or a headshot, okay? So just note that applications and documents must be completed online and submittable and received before the listed due date and time. And again, any applications or any of these materials that you see on here that are sent via email or postal mail will not be considered. So everything must be uploaded onto submittable. I also want to clarify one thing too for your reference letter. You are the one who has to upload the reference letter from your reference, okay? So just let your reference person know, hey, when you write my letter, please send it to me, and you're the one who uploads it to your submittable application. Okay, so just want to make sure that I'm very clear on that part too. Okay, so here is the selection criteria. So this is the review panel. So I don't score applications. I just merely facilitate the process as the program manager. So we do have a selection committee or review panel who will review the applications and score them based on this criteria. Okay, it's usually like three people who are going to look over your application, and they're going to they're going to score it based off of this. Okay, so applications will be scored on artistic career goals. So these are the proposed career goals. And they must be clearly defined and achievable within the time frame of the fellowship, which is 1 year. The applicant clearly details a plan for accomplishing these career goals throughout their proposal. Okay, that means you know the resources, it's in your budget, all that jazz. Okay. It would also be scored on sharing. So this is how you will describe your proposed career milestones and how that's going to strengthen your artistic practice. This is wrong. Sorry. I think that's right. Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay. So this is like how you're going to then further impact your work in the work that you do as an artist and in your community. Sorry, I got confused there for a second. All right, and then also knowing, so this is the work samples. So the work samples that you provide demonstrate applicants' evidence of a practice and desire to develop themselves further as a performing artist, culture bearer, and artist entrepreneur, and that your proposed goals are going to help grow your artistic practice, skills, business, and knowledge base. Okay. So again, this going back to like the levels of experience. Even if you are an emerging artist and you only have like 1 to 2 years experience, you really need to showcase that in your work samples. Like I said, don't let age stop you. Some of us started early, some of us started mid or later in life. It doesn't matter. As long as you show your work samples and it demonstrates that you have a devotion and a desire to develop yourself as a performing artist, make sure your work samples demonstrate that. Okay. And then lived experience is applicant is a native artist who has demonstrated a commitment to their practice, and you are providing a resume that details your history of work and creative practice. That's what I mean about the artist resume. Make sure that it really shows like, your work within your performing arts medium. And that could be 1 to 2 years, that could be 8 to 10 years. Okay. And the selection process. So the process is that when people submit applications and the deadline passes and you submit your application, program staff will conduct a technical review of the application. So I, as the program manager, will make sure all the applications have everything that needs to be there before I pass it off to the selection committee. Okay, so that's the only review that I do is I look at all the applications, I make sure you have your tribal of affiliation document, I make sure you have all the documents that are required that are uploaded, and everything is good to go. All right. So once I do that, I will then pass off the applications to the selection committee. Okay. And so then they will score the applications based off of that selection criteria that I just talked about in the previous slide. Okay. And they're there for a reminder. It's artist goals, sharing, knowing, and lived experience. And then these committee members are typically Native artists and slash or culture bearers, sorry, they're also, they could be past First Peoples Fund Fellowship alumni, and other members of the Native arts and culture field. Alrighty, and these members do vary from year to year. Alrighty, so just be aware of that. It's not the same people every year that review applications. And that the final number of NPA fellowships awarded is determined based on total available funding and number of applicants, and that the final NPA fellowship award decisions are based on selection committee recommendations and any relevant funding restrictions. Okay. So there's definitely a lot of key elements that goes towards who gets funded and who doesn't. But the one thing to keep in mind is that, your applications are going to be read by a panel, and that anything that you state in your proposal, just know that, you want to be as clear and detailed as possible, so that way they can best, score your application in the best way possible. Okay. So just some timeline and important dates. So the application window for the NPA Fellowship is that it opens on Wednesday, June 3rd at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and it closes on Wednesday, July 15th at 5:59 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So just be very aware in what time zone that you live in, because all of our applications open and close on Mountain Standard Time, okay? And applicants will be notified of their application status in November 2026. And then the public announcement of selected fellows will be shared in sometime early 2027. And the award year goes from January 1st to December 31st. And then the fellowship convening right now is scheduled to happen sometime in spring 2027. Okay. And also, I just want to preference that the fellowship convening, we recommend that you attend, but also we understand if there are things that, conflict time-wise, you have other things scheduled, you have gigs that you've already said yes to and have on your calendar. It is okay if this is something that you cannot make due to other conflict schedules, okay? So just want to preface that, alrighty? And here are just some helpful tips for you all to just keep in mind on when you're applying for the Native Performing Arts Fellowship. Again, if you have any questions or you need any clarification at any time, please reach out to me. I am here to answer any questions and here to help, especially if you need more information and clarification on whether you want to apply for the fellowship or if you want to apply for the live production grant, okay? Those two grants programs are not the same. They're different from each other. Okay, so if you're not sure which one you feel like would fit best for you, please reach out to me, ask questions, and yeah, that's just the best way to go about everything. Obviously, do not wait until the deadline date to submit an application, because there are a few things that could happen. Okay, one scenario that could happen is sometimes web pages crash because people can be uploading applications all at the same time, and the website can't handle that. And so the whole entire website just crashes and you're not able to submit an application, and you're like the deadline is in like 2 or 3 hours. Just so you know that can be a possibility. So to avoid any of that stress, give yourself plenty of time to submit your application, okay? The application does close right at 6 p.m. on the dot Mountain Standard Time, okay? So you must submit by 5:59 to avoid missing the deadline. Once 6 o'clock hits, the application closes. If you hit submit right at 6 p.m., it's not going to take it, alrighty? So just be aware of that. If you have any technical issues that happens with your Submittable account, you will need to reach out directly to Submittable. As the program manager, I do not have access to accounts or any sort of technical aspects of Submittable. The only thing that I have access to is your application. Other than that, things going on with your account, any technical stuff that goes on with Submittable itself, Submittable has to be the one to figure out what's going on and to fix that. So definitely give yourself enough time to fix any technical problems that might occur. If you wait till the deadline and your application is not submitting because something's wrong with your account and you have to talk to Submittable to get it figured out, again, it's going to cause you more stress if you end up waiting till the last minute to do this, okay? Again, give yourself plenty of time. And of course, if you give yourself enough time to work on your application, it's never a bad idea to proofread it. And it's also a good, I guess, like technique is also having someone else read your application and give you any feedback to check your grammar and things like that. So definitely, again, give yourself enough time to put together your best proposal. Alrighty? And if you need to edit or update any information on your application, please reach out to me for assistance, because I can reopen your application after you've submitted to make any changes or any edits. And this sometimes can happen. You might submit it and you're like, okay, we're good. And then you're like, oh, wait, oh no, like my reference person, I had to change my reference person to another person, and so I have to upload a different letter. That's okay. Alrighty, you just got to let me know and I'll reopen it, and then you can upload anything new or different. But you must do this before the deadline. Once the deadline date closes and the time closes, no further edits can be made to applications after the deadline date. Okay, again, don't wait. And of course, if you still have a ton of questions, you still need some clarification of things, I am here to support. I am here to answer any questions that you might have. It is better to ask and get clarification before, because, sometimes people will submit applications and they get scored lower on something that they could have totally just asked a question on and gotten clarification on, okay? So my email is natalie@firstpeoplesfund.org. My phone number that you can reach me at my office is 505-278-0412. And my office hours are Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Times. Okay. So any phone calls or emails that are outside of these hours, they'll be answered until the next business day. So if you call me on a Friday at 12:30, 1 o'clock, I will not respond to you or respond to any voicemails until Monday at 8 a.m. Okay, so just keep that in mind. And you are always more than welcome to leave me a voicemail. I do check my voicemails, and I will always do my best to respond to you as promptly as I can. Okay. Again, just to clarify, if you have questions about the other two fellowships, so the Artist and Business Leadership or Cultural Capital Fellowship, you will need to speak with Fox Spears about those two, because those are the ones that are managed by Fox, and the performing arts is specifically managed by me. Okay, so again, if it is a question that I'm like, ooh, actually this would be a better question suited for Fox, then I will just pass you along off to him. Okay. But yes, so again, I hope it's a lot of information. And again, I am here to help and answer any questions that you might have. I just want to always preface that, I am here to give any clarification. And yeah, and I would rather you ask the questions and get the correct information and the clarification than for you to submit an application that's not as at its strongest. Does that make sense? So yeah, so if you are a performing artist, whether you're an actor, a dancer, a playwright, just anything in terms of performing arts world, you must just please apply for the fellowship. We really want to keep this program going. And yeah, I'm really excited to see what you all have to share in your applications. And again, best of luck. And if you have any questions, you all know where to reach me. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.